Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective.
Morning, everyone. Ray Flowers here of FantasyGuru.com. Thanks for joining me today. Hopefully you join us every day, Monday through Friday, for Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. You just heard it there. 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We go for about an hour each day, plus minus. Sometimes it's 50 minutes, sometimes an hour and 10. It all depends on how we're rolling that day. I'm Ray Flowers. You can find me on Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, all those places at the Ray Flowers. You can constantly find me in Discord over at FantasyGuru.com, answering football and baseball questions. So get signed up over at FG. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. Get signed up with us over there. Get access to me as well as everybody else you see on this show on a weekly basis. On Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, I host. On Wednesdays, Justin Fensterman hosts. On Wednesdays, I'm over on Series 6M Fantasy Sports Radio with Jeff Mans. Jeff shows the Elite Sports Show. That's 2 to 5 Eastern Time, 2 p.m., Monday through Friday. So on Wednesdays, I'm with Jeff from 2 to 5. The other 4 days of the week, I'm here with you. Don't forget to Jeff shows different times, now earlier now. So 2 to 5 moving forward for football season. So we're there, we're here, we're everywhere. We're over at FantasyGuru.com. It's time, folks. Get signed up. Before we jump into today's show, I'll say it. Here's the sales pitch. Hopefully you're all aware. Hopefully you've already all signed up. We did debut yesterday new chat rooms in the Discord, so specifically designed to fill your needs. So there's keepers rooms, there's dynasty rooms, there's all kinds of different rooms now. So hopefully you can get more targeted answers to your questions, read other people's questions and responses, all that kind of stuff. So we're constantly working to improve the product over at FantasyGuru.com. We're also writing new articles every single day. Just got the new assignments today for the podcast series. There'll be 20 podcasts as part of that preseason package over at FantasyGuru.com. But remember, the preseason package is full season long. So we call it a preseason package. We call it a draft guide, but it's all year long. Part of that preseason coverage will include those 20 podcasts. I think I'm hosting 4 of them, so that's new and exciting. We've got my PPR running back myth article dropping here in a couple of days. We've got the auction articles I'm writing. Those will be dropping in about 10 or so days. So lots of stuff coming down here, not just myself, but the entire crew. We hear from, Tuesdays are normally Armando Marsal. He's actually going to join us today, but Tuesdays normally Armando Marsal at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Rich Mileto comes on at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Thursdays, 12:30 is Tyler Beaker. Fridays, normally Russell Clay at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. All those guys part of the package over at FantasyGuru.com. That includes seasonal rankings, non-PPR and PPR. It includes dynasty rankings, best ball rankings, rookie rankings, IDP rankings for those of you playing both sides of the football. So get over to FantasyGuru.com and get signed up right now. Let's go. What are we talking about on the show today? Well, you see the names there on the screen. Remember, you can always watch the show on demand or later on if you go to youtube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite. You can leave comments and questions that we'll address throughout the show. You can also go to FantasyGuru.com, click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page to find all the shows, including this one, in the Elite Sports Network. And you can also type in Fantasy Sports Daily to wherever you consume your podcasts. You should be able to find us there as well. We'll talk to Tatis, Adolis, Garcia, David Hamilton, Vaughn, Grissom. What's going on with the Red Sox now that Alex Bregman is going to be back in town? Brandon Donovan, Ceddanne, and Rafaela. Ooh, I got those guys in the wrong order. I screwed that up. Could have had a Boston run there. Julio Rodriguez, Brandon Nimmo, Patrick Corbin, Spencer Strider, John Gray, and JP Sears. We'll then talk a little bit about the drafters deal that we've been discussing here on the show. And then we'll visit with Armando Marsal. This week he switched up. So Russell Clay was on Tuesdays this week. Armando's on today. Armando will be on today. He'll be back on next Tuesday. So he's shortening up the duration between his appearances. We'll do some position battle talk with him. This quarterback versus that quarterback. This running back versus that running back. Ridley or Olave. Bowers or McBride. We'll talk about situations like that with Armando Marsal here in about 25 minutos. All right. Let's dig into the baseball world. Small slate yesterday. A huge slate today. Massive slate today. There'll be DFS articles up over at FantasyGuru.com. I'll have my race plays article up over at FantasyGuru.com. We'll try to get some bet skis, as Justin Fensterman calls them, up over at FantasyGuru.com. So a lot going on here A huge day of baseball the last Friday before the All-Star break, which begins in a couple of days. Fernando Tatis went 2 for 4 with the home run and walk yesterday, and I just wanted to check in with Tatis because it's like, I think some players, rightly and wrongly, we kind of ignore, or not that we're ignoring Tatis to the sense that, oh, we think he stinks, but we just don't talk about him because it's like, oh, he's Fernando Tatis. You know, he's been good. I mean, he's on a 30-30 pace, so, you know, we're not going to sneer at that. He's never stolen 30 bases at the big league level. The last 2 seasons, he's failed to hit 30 home runs. In fact, he's only hit 30 home runs a single time in his career. And that's largely because of time missed. But one 30 home run season in 5 years, he's well on his pace. He's got 16 right now through 91 games. So he's on pace to do it again this year. The steal pace is way up. He's 19 for 21 stealing bases, which is fantastic. The walk rate's up to 12%. So he's got a 358 on base percentage. The 260 batting average, you know, might be down 10, 15 points from where you were expecting him to be. Kind of where he's at. So I think the real key, as always, with Tatis is staying healthy. And you look and he's played 91 games, and I think the Padres have played 93. So that's the real key with a lot of these players, including Tatis. It's just being on the field. And he's done a very good job this season. Note that with Tatis, he's actually got reverse splits. He's really, really poor against left-handed pitching, but he smashes right-handed pitching. Kind of an interesting scenario when it plays out that way with an upper-end player. Adolis Garcia hit a home run, drove in 3 runs yesterday. And Garcia is somebody that's on multiple teams I have. I'm sure he's on multiple teams of yours, or I would maybe not. Maybe you dropped him because he was so bad. Probably was on your team at some point. Maybe you're thinking of picking him up. You know, he's stealthily on a 2015 pace. Now, he was drafted to hit 30 home runs, so 20 is down. He's hitting 231. That's not terrible. 665 OPS is terrible. And last year it was 685, so it's even worse. He does have his RBI count up to 53, and, you know, over his last 27 games, he does have 23 RBIs. Over his last 13 games, he's got 14 RBIs. So, you know, the Rangers are the team that we've talked about a lot. They're finally starting to pick up the pace offensively, led by Corey Seager, who does it every single day at this point. Garcia, you know, holding out a little hope. I mean, he's got a chance to go 2010 for sure. He's got 9 steals. He's got a chance to go 2015 with 100 RBIs. And given the fact that he has not really produced very much, at least consistently, and even had good at-bats consistently, that's not bad. So keep him on your short list, your watch list. Depends on your format and all of that. You know, in my 5 outfielder, 15-team leagues, okay. In your, you know, smaller leagues, probably not. But keep an eye on Garcia because it seems like maybe we're starting to get a little bit of production we're hoping to get from him this when we drafted him this season. Talking about the Red Sox, Alex Bregman is back today, which is great news. Obviously, he was off to a tremendous start. He's going to have to be the linchpin of that offense now with Rafael Devers out of the mix. Though note, the Red Sox offense has been out of control. Good, top 3 in baseball according to WOBA the last week. Jarren Duran has really picked things up. You know, you cross the board. Marcel Mayer, I forgot his name. Mayer's had some good games here. Roman Anthony's hit a little bit. They've got Romy Gonzalez, who's crushing it. Narvaez is killing it, too. Waller Abreu's done a good job. Trevor Story. Has anyone been paying attention to Trevor Story? Now, the reason I haven't brought it up is because I'm counting on him heavily in one league. I know it's not going to continue. But Trevor Story basically has played every day for the Red Sox. Hasn't had that injury yet. He's already 15-15. How many people realize that Trevor Story's got an outside chance to go 30-30, 100-100? He's 15-15 already. The last 2 weeks, he's got 16 RBIs and 13 runs scored in 14 games played. Also has 4 home runs and 4 steals in that time. Again, he's gone 15-15 with 57 RBIs and 48 runs scored. He's been fantastic. So getting back Bregman's obviously a huge benefit for this team. But now we're starting to get into a scenario where things are tight for the offense and being in the lineup on a consistent basis. We've talked about this. They're going to trade Jarren Duran. It certainly seems that's the case. I don't get it. I just don't get it. But that's apparently what they're going to do. Seems really odd to me, but that's what they're going to do according to reports. You know, you'll have an outfield of Roman Anthony, Waller Abreu, and Ceddanne Rafaela. You then probably get Masataka Yoshida at the DH. Okay. Okay. But what are they doing up the middle here? Well, obviously, Trevor Story is their shortstop. Obviously, their third baseman's Alex Bregman. The first baseman is Abraham Toro, maybe Yoshida. They don't really have a first baseman. Obviously, the Tristan Casas injury was a significant loss for this team. They've been using Abraham Toro, and if we're being honest about this, if Abraham Toro is your first baseman, you're in big trouble. We'll give him credit. He's got a 764 OPS, which is fine. 100 plus points above his career market's fine, but that doesn't work. So maybe they're in the market. Maybe when they trade Duran, they'll get a Josh Bell back or something. I'm making that up. That kind of a player, the rental kind of help him out at first base. But we got this issue now up the middle, and what the team is going to do. Well, the first decision they had to make is how to handle the roster. So David Hamilton, who some people added for his speed piece when Bregman got hurt, thinking that Hamilton's going to play most days and hopefully steal some bags. Hamilton's been demoted. Okay, so he's now out of the mix. So it looks like Romy Gonzalez is going to probably shift from first base to second base. That'd be kind of my guess. He's played second base 10 times, played first base 31 times. That's kind of a guesstimate now. Maybe that's not what they play, but based upon the way the roster is constructed, that seems the most likely scenario here. So where does that leave Romy Gonzalez? What leaves him as the guy that we're playing against left-handed pitching, as we've talked about. Alex Bregman goes back in your lineup. Okay, here we go. Vaughn Grissom, to me, is the one that is really interesting because Vaughn Grissom is a player I've liked a long time. I think he's got nice skills. He's not a standout offensive player. He's not a superstar level player, but he's a guy that could hit 15 to 20 home runs, still 15, 20 bases. Like he can be maybe hit 280. Like he can be a very effective offensive player, I believe. He's 24 years old, 24 and a half now. And at some point, you got to give this guy a shot. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, he's played 95 games at the big leagues to this point. It's like, let's give this guy a shot. You look at his work down on the farm. He's played 79 games, double his numbers to give him 160 games played. We're talking about a player going 15-15, scoring 115 runs, batting 290. So I'd be very interested to see what the Red Sox ultimately do, because if they're trading, the way the roster is constructed, if they're trading Duran, it doesn't open up a spot for Vaughn, right? Vaughn Grissom, because he's an infielder. Is he included in the trade package too? Does the team make a decision at some point? We got to get this guy in our lineup and see how this goes. I mean, Romy Gonzalez is nice. Let's stick him at first base. Let's bring up Grissom, put him at second base, and let's put Abraham Toro on the bench. That makes a lot of sense to me. So the bottom line with Vaughn Grissom is there's no actionable information as we sit here today. There just isn't. But he's performed exceedingly well at AAA. He's shown power. He's shown speed. He's shown a fair amount of patience. 9% walk rate for him is pretty good. Puts the ball in play. 800 plus OPS. So put Vaughn Grissom on that watch list. Those of you in AL only leagues, if by some miracle Vaughn Grissom is on the waiver wire, and who knows, I would strongly recommend adding him because it really does look like there's going to be an opportunity here for him in the second half to be a piece to help you significantly in the AL only league and maybe even be a mixed league option in the second half. We'll come back to the Red Sox. I'll come back to Rafaela in a second because I don't want to screw up the order because it's listed everywhere. So sorry that I didn't put all the Red Sox together. Let's talk Brendan Donovan for a second. A couple of hits, an RBI, a couple of runs scored. And, Donovan is doing a very good impersonation right now of Brian Reynolds, the good Brian Reynolds, not the crappy one we've seen for a lot of this season, the good Brian Reynolds. And by that, I mean, nothing that Donovan is doing is outstanding, but he's playing almost every day. He's on pace to score 90 runs. He's on pace to hit 15 home runs. He's on pace to bat 295. Not exactly Brian Reynolds, but you get the point, I hope, right? That kind of an under-the-radar guy that produces across the board. Nothing pops, really. But at the end, you look at the play rater, and he's player 38 or something, right? He's played second base 68 times this year as Donovan. He's played the outfield 18 times. He's even played shortstop 6 times. So in every league, he should qualify at second base and outfield. Looks like that's going to continue again next season. Shortstop might have that if it's a 5-game in season, which a lot of leagues are, right? So now he's a 3-positional guy. The 296 batting average, is obviously really good in this day and age. And then he's got the 367 on base percentage, which obviously is also really good. Interestingly enough, these numbers are not appreciably different from his career levels. 296 this year, 284 career average. 367 on base percentage, 365 career average. This is who he is. And he's a very good offensive player. He's a big help, in points leagues because he doesn't strike out much. His strikeout rate's only 14% this year. Last year was 12%. He doesn't strike out, so you don't get the big negatives there. He walks at about the league average pace. Bottom line is, just wanted to highlight him as a player that I'm using in multiple leagues, including Tout Wars, which is an on-base percentage league. And there were times I took him in a couple leagues this year, and I'm like, am I reaching for this guy a little bit? Yeah, I kind of felt that way when I was picking him, right? But looking at the production, it's justified the faith that I had back in the preseason, and he is on pace to better his numbers last year, which were already pretty good. Going back to the Red Sox, let's go back to Ceddanne Rafaela, who, he came into this season multi-position eligible, infield and outfield. He's only played outfield. He's played second base one time. So next year, it looks like he's going to only be an outfield eligible player, which hurts his fantasy outlook a little bit, right? We all know that. One of the big issues there's a couple of big issues with Rafael that he's had to overcome, and for the most part, has actually overcome them, which is pretty impressive. Number one, he's hit above 6th in the order a single time all year long. In fact, he's hit 8th or 9th in 71 of his 89 games. So he is at the bottom of the order, which sucks because that costs you plate appearances. You lose about 15 to 20 plate appearances over the course of a season, each spot down in the batting order that you list. So he's hitting 9th versus the leadoff guy. That's 8 spots in the order, 20, 100 plus plate appearances, 130, 40, 50. I mean, it's a huge difference, right? So that's something he has to have to overcome. And remarkably, to the Red Sox credit and to his credit, he's on pace to score 90 plus runs, which is pretty damn good for a 8-9 hitter, right? He's also got 12 home runs and 12 steals. Last year, he went 15-15. This year, he's clearly on a 20-20 pace. It's not surprising to see a guy grow a little bit. What is surprising is that he's changed his approach. Now, it's not fantastic, but it's significant. Last year, his walk rate was under 3%. He walked a total of 15 times last year, which is absolutely bloody awful. This year, he's already walked 16 times. So it's not a good mark. The league average is 8.5-ish% for the walk rate. His current walk rate is 4.8%. So he's not even close to league average. Okay. But that's a significant growth. 2.6 to 4.8%, significant growth. And as we've seen his willingness to take a walk, we've seen his offensive production increase as well. Not only have we seen the walk rate go up, look at he's selecting better. I'm hearing, and this is the interesting part. I was stunned a little bit when I saw it. I'm hearing he's making better swing decisions. That's the report out of Boston. The numbers will support that, right? On the surface. When you look at O-swing, which is the percentage of swings on pitches outside the strike zone, it's way better than it was last year. Last year was 46%, which is horrendous. This year it's awful, but it's 42%. So he is making better decisions. Still, 42% O-swing rate is terrible. Like, it's just not good. But we are seeing improvement. So I give him full props to producing, even though he's down the order. I give him props for improving, for making steps forward, which he absolutely is doing. And his power speed combination is really, really nice. John G says, I've been listening to replay all week. Nice to hear you live. Thank you, John. Appreciate you doing that on demand or live, either both ways. I appreciate you. Ray, have you ever talked about Nick Lodolo on here? I have, and I will say, John, that I almost put a snarky note in Discord this morning. For those people that don't remember, just quickly, Nick Lodolo is my breakout pitcher of the year. Through the first half of the season, Nick Lodolo has broken out. And I probably answered 15 people's questions about, do I drop Nick Lodolo in Discord, people ask me if I want to drop my breakout pitcher of the year 5 starts into the season. So I kind of wanted to take a victory lap, but the season's only half over, John, so we're not doing that. But yeah, I've talked about Nick Lodolo. Wink, wink. All right, let's talk about the next guy on our list, and that's going from a younger guy hoping to get there to a guy that's been there and hoping to return there. Julio Rodriguez went 0-for-5 last night. He took a ball off his knee or leg or whatever on a foul ball. Seemed like he was fine. JP Crawford hit him on the X circle. But, we were talking about Tatis earlier and how we're kind of just ignore him, and he's on this 30-30 pace and fine. Yeah. Rodriguez is almost on a 20-30 pace. Pretty close. He's got 11 home runs, 15 steals. Let's call it a 20-25 pace, which is more accurate, really. He's 24 years old. He's like the exact same age as Vaughn Grissom, almost to the day, actually. He went 25-25 as a rookie. He went 30-30 in year 2. He fell to 20-24 last year, and he's on pace to basically go 20-25 this year. And he's hitting 244. And at some point, man, it's like we all know he's a better player. We've all seen him be a better player. He's produced at way better levels than he's at. But since the start of last season, it's been very blah. And I mean, I know his ballpark is tough to hit in. It was tough to hit in when he was a rookie. Julio Rodriguez is 6'3", 230 pounds. He's a tremendous athlete. He's a tremendous baseball talent. He's got a 386 slugging percentage. It's horrendous. It's absolutely awful. I mean, his first year, his slugging percentage was 495. This year, it's 386. His isolated power mark since the start of last season is 140. The league average is 160. What the hell? What has happened? How has Julio Rodriguez become Brandon Donovan without getting on base? It's really troubling. The strikeout rate is way down. And here's the strikeout rate, 25%, basically the same each of the first 3 years. This year it's 22%, which leaves the question, are we making more contact at the expense of oomph? And if so, we need to change that because 25% strikeout rate, I mean, the league average is 23%. 25% is totally fine, totally acceptable. We'd much rather have him strike out 25% of the time with 30 home runs than strike out 20% of the time with 17 home runs. It just doesn't, it's not a trade-off that we want to make. His exit velocity has never been lower. His barrel rate has never been lower. His hard hit rate has never been lower. Ground ball rate's never been higher. His chase rate, we were just talking about with Rafaela, is almost identical to the last 2 years. So there's really been he's not expanding the strike zone and swinging at more balls. He's just not hitting the balls hard. So we can all hope on a second half. I will hope on a second half. But unless there is that second half, and let's be honest about this. We're all, including myself, all had him as a top 20 player this year. This guy is Randy Arozarena. He was Randy Arozarena last year. He's Randy Arozarena this year. So unless that second half matches what he did the first 2 seasons, we're going to have to drop Julio Rodriguez significantly next season. Oof. Yeah, that call was scary last night, wasn't it? Ooh, no. Like getting hit on the on-deck circle, like, come on, man, that's terrible. And Kyle also says, Ray is the last guy to ask Lodolo drop question 2. Yes. And as I stated, after I got so frustrated, for those of you not in Discord, this is the kind of fun stuff you get in Discord. I got so frustrated after all, should I drop, move on? Do I start Lodolo? All those questions, that I don't answer Lodolo questions anymore. So, you don't want to bench Lodolo, that's on you. You want to drop Lodolo, that's on you. I gave my advice when he was my breakout pitch of the year. Again, the first half of the season, he's fulfilled those expectations. I don't even answer Lodolo questions anymore. It got so bad. It's just so weird. It's not questions about Landon Raup. It was questions about my breakout pitcher of the year. Just bizarre. Brandon Nimmo on the outfield went 2 for 4 years, had a pair of hits, a run scored, stole a base. And I just wanted to give a little shout out to Brandon Nimmo. There's a lot of stars in this game. There's a lot of stars, obviously, in New York. There's stars on the Mets. Nimmo's not a star. He's a really good player. And, there was a time very, very recently where it's like, oh, this guy is pretty good. He's really good at getting on base. He's a pretty good offensive player. In fact, the numbers say he's a really good offensive player. But he just doesn't play. Well, he's playing. Played 149 games last year. He's played 90 games this year, and he gets on base and he produces. He's up to 18 home runs and 10 steals. Like, there's a 30-15 season here. He went 22-15 last year. But the 30 home runs, when you're hitting 260, 20 home runs to 30 home runs is a huge difference. It's a huge difference in your outlook and your fantasy value. His run scored total is down. He's well off his pace last year when he had 87 runs, and that's a little interesting. He's hit more down in the order a little bit this year. He's only got 44 runs scored. If he goes 30-15 with 90 RBIs, no one's going to care. So the numbers are rearranged a little bit based upon, I think, what the expectations would have been. More RBIs, less runs, more home runs, maybe a few less steals. About the same still. Right? He's just been really good. And I just want to give him the props that he deserves. Because, again, I haven't heard a single question about him. Maybe that's because people are pumped up about him. But he's just effective. And so there's a little thumbs up. I get negative with people. Let's give Brandon Nimmo a thumbs up. Patrick Corbin held the Angels to 2 runs, struck out 6 guys in 5 innings of work. I mean, we keep talking about Patrick Corbin. I just wanted to bring him up another time and, again, give him some shout-out props. Has he been great this year? Absolutely not. In fact, his ERA of 4.2 and a whip of 1.3 with 74 strikeouts in 93 innings is not good. That's league average. Well, below league average, certainly on the strikeout rate, but let's call him league average. Being league average, though, for a guy that was left for dead, fantastic. That's just fantastic. He continues to hold down a spot in the rotation for the Rangers. He will probably continue to do so. That's the one thing he always brought to the field. It was the ability to take the ball every 5 games. He's continued to do that. I do, of course, need to say, as I have said all along, that Patrick Corbin, be nervous, be cautious. But again, continuing to be effective. Last 6 starts, his ERA is 5.5. Last 3 starts, 3.7. Still, that whip has really started to climb here the last month. The 1.32 mark he's at right now is probably a best case scenario, so be cautious with Patrick Corbin. Spencer Strider last night. Spencer Strider's been really interesting with the starting the season, with injury and then having a setback after he returned. 11 strikeouts last night, gave up 3 runs, got a no decision against the A's, but threw a quality start. He's up to 74 strikeouts in 61 innings, and he's been good, but, you didn't draft him to be good. You drafted him to be great. He just hasn't been. 3.90 ERA and a 1.17 whip, they're fine numbers. Fine, but they're not to Spencer Strider numbers. The strikeout rates, the same as it was last season too, but remember last year only threw 2 games. So if we compare the real Spencer Strider with a 37% strikeout rate, he's currently at 29%. That's a huge, huge downturn. We're going from 13.5 strikeouts per 9 down to 10.5 per 9. So he has just not been the guy. If he is the guy we're seeing right now the rest of the way, everyone's going to take it with the state of pitching across the land. But, Strider, a little disappointing, right? I think that we got to call it the way we see it, and that's the way it is. Numbers are nice. He's expected to be a little bit better than nice. An update on the Rangers rotation. Looks like John Gray at some point here in the near future is going to finally come back from his wrist injury. He's going to make a minor league rehab start on Sunday. And it sounds like if that goes well, he might be back with the Rangers next week after, starting in the big leagues. So, the Rangers continuing to try to piece this together, trying to figure out their starting rotation, seeing what their long-term answers are. It's been a difficult scenario for them to navigate. Tyler Mahle is still down with an injury. Kumar Rocker, though given an opportunity, he's been very hit or miss. Jack Leiter's been okay, but Jack Leiter also, sporadic from start to start. We just talked about Patrick Corbin. So John Gray might be back in our lives, and he might be starting for the Rangers soon. So keep that in mind. Again, as I've always said, I like all parts of John Gray. I don't like the whole. It's never come together. All the pieces never quite mix, and he's constantly hurt. And finally, before we talk some football with Armando Marsal, JP Sears, 3 runs yesterday against Atlanta. Sears is somebody that we all want to. You want to start him because he's on a waiver wire in a lot of leagues, right? You want to stream him. I think is a better way to put it. But there's just one number that just pops, and it's 1.75. This home run per 9 rate, it's so high. If you start him the time he doesn't give up a home run, you get a good effort most times. If you don't, and it's the time that's the home run, his strikeout rate is, for his career, under 20%. So he's not even close to the league average. He's not. And there's just a ton of fly balls, 0.6 ground ball to fly ball ratio. He pitches in a home ballpark now in Sacramento that is not conducive to offensive success. His numbers at home include a .585 slugging percentage. So if you're going to pitch JP Sears, you're going to risk it. Pitch him on the road. .295 WOBA on the road, which is a great mark. .387 mark at home, which is a horrendous mark. So keep that in mind with the hurler of the Athletics. And I just realized I never made my face bigger. Oh my gosh, this whole time you've been looking at my screen and not my face. Maybe that's what everyone wanted, and so that's a good thing anyway. But here we go. There we go. There's my big face. Okay. Well, let's get rid of the screen that had my little face. Let's bring in another gentleman who doesn't have a big face, but will have a face that matches mine here on the show. He's normally with us on Tuesdays, but he had a plumbing disaster. So Russell Clay was on Tuesday with us, and Armando comes on here today on Friday. Armando Marsal of FantasyGuru.com. And the first question, Armando, is, did the issue get settled with the plumber?
Yes, it did. It did. It was resolved on Tuesday. It was a little after the show ended, so luckily I was able to get Russ. Thank you, Russ. If you're watching, thank you so much for swapping days with me. But we are on Friday, Ray. The problem got resolved, and now onward to football.
Okay. Well, by the way, is it $10,000 if you had to take a loan out, or was it a reasonable?
It's a percentage of that. It was a percentage of that.
Okay. It can be very expensive. Yes.
It was. But at least it got resolved, right?
Yeah, our main line because the neighborhood we moved into, the homes were built like early 60s, so it's kind of in that zone where the main line from your house to the street went, and so that was a huge expense. They had to dig up the driveway, the whole thing. So yeah, luckily it's taken care of for us too, so we'll move forward. Armando Marsal at fantasyguru.com. You can find his podcast, Mind of Marsal, if you go to fantasyguru.com and you click on that Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. Find this show, and then you can find his show. You can find both of them over at the site. I thought, Armando, today we talk some news and notes like we always do. I thought let's talk some position battles here, because we're kind of at that point where people are starting to get a little bit more serious about studying up and doing some drafts and all that. So I had 4 position battles, guys with similar-ish ADP. Kind of wanted to get your thoughts on which of the 2 guys you would prefer and why. So let's start out at the quarterback position. We've got Kyler Murray versus Dak Prescott. One guy's a pocket passer, one guy's a runner. It's interesting. Someone asked me in Discord the other day, do you expect Kyler Murray to rebound this year? And I'm like, he scored 21 points a game each of the last 3 years. Like, where's he going to rebound to? This is kind of who he is. But there's always that hope that he'll have that 900 rushing yard season and throw those 30 touchdown passes. So clearly there's an opportunity there for him to outproduce Dak Prescott, who's a pocket passer. But is he going to do it this year? Which guy do you prefer right now?
I'm slightly leaning Dak Prescott because you are getting a 2-round. It's not a massive discount, but you are getting a 2-round discount. You mentioned it. Kyler Murray has been consistent since he's entered the NFL, averaging over 20 fantasy points per game. The same can be said about Dak Prescott. Mm-hmm. Dak Prescott has finished as a top 10 quarterback in PPR points per game in all but I think it's 3 seasons. Yes, so all but 4 seasons since entering the NFL. Obviously, not all of those are complete seasons. 2 where he played 8 or fewer games, he finished top 10. One of them he finished outside the top 10, so it kind of washes out. I like the quarterback play out of Dak Prescott more than I do of Kyler Murray. Mm-hmm. I think we've seen, and I think he's reached his ceiling as far as Kyler Murray is concerned. And I think it's top 12, top 15 quarterback. That's who he's going to be every season, averaging 20 fantasy points per game. But you're getting the same, production, in my opinion, out of Dak Prescott, and you're getting a cheaper discount. So I'm just going to take the slight ADP discount. And I also, when you look at the supporting cast, you could say McBride, Harrison Jr., Connor, you got really good supporting cast, and it's not the same there in Dallas, but he still has CeeDee Lamb. They added Pickens there. You got, a tight end there, Ferguson. Pretty solid supporting cast as well in Dallas. So I'm just going to take the discount. I do think that you look at these quarterbacks and you can make a strong case that they're in the same tier.
What about the running back position? If you're taking the discount with DeAndre Swift and David Montgomery, you're actually getting DeAndre Swift because his ADP over at the NFFC, at least what I was looking at, is lower than Montgomery. Obviously, Montgomery's another year older. There's been some injuries starting to creep in here. You got a change in the head coaching, or the offensive coaching scenario with the Lions. There's kind of a little bit of concern in some circles that they're going to be fully what they were last year. And then you got DeAndre Swift, who's got the old guy from there. And, DeAndre Swift is a guy that can catch passes. He seems to be the number 1 guy without question, whereas obviously Montgomery is the number 2. Montgomery or Swift for you this year?
I'm going to lead Swift. I just like the Lions offense better than I do the Bears offense. And, they did lose a key piece to the offensive line. It's still a strong offensive line. They did lose, like you mentioned, the coordinator there. That's a concern for me as well. But we know what we're going to get out of David Montgomery pretty consistently when he's healthy, and he's going to get a lot of opportunities on the goal line. This is a team that I do expect to score a lot of points. And I'm still not 100% convinced, that Caleb Williams is going to take that step forward. I am a little bit. I am like on the minority here, right? But I just don't know if he's going to take that step forward. So for me, I'm going to go with the player has been doing it more consistently, than the other, and I'm going to go with Montgomery here.
Armando Marsal, fantasyguru.com. Again, he normally joins us on Tuesdays. He's with us here on a special appearance on Friday. Let's go to the wide receiver spot, Armando. And these 2 guys are kind of similar-ish. One of them's older and a little concerned there with the rookie quarterback. The other one's younger, but concerned with health and a rookie quarterback, most likely too. Calvin Ridley or Chris Olave. I think the average person was going to go, I'll just take a shot on Olave. But the ADP is pretty close between the 2 guys. And again, the Olave thing is, we've talked about him so much. We probably talked about Olave's health as much as Christian McCaffrey this offseason. Like, it's been a huge topic of discussion. Enough concerns there with Olave that you would go Ridley, or is the youngster beat the oldster here?
I have many concerns with Olave. That's a serious, the concussions are serious, especially in today's NFL. For me, I probably won't take the risk, and I would play it safe with Ridley here. I think we know what we're going to get out of Ridley. You mentioned it. Both of them are dealing with rookie quarterbacks. Obviously, Ridley has the higher profile rookie quarterback there in Tennessee, in Cam Ward. So this is a situation where it will be depending on the roster build, right? If you already have 3 receivers and you want to take a risk on someone like Olave, sure. If you're looking for that number 3 receiver, or however you're drafting, I would probably take the safe route and go with Calvin Ridley. I don't think that they're that far off. We think we could expect Ridley to demand the majority of the targets there in Tennessee. So I'm going to go with the opportunities and the safer bet as far as injuries are concerned.
Let's go to the tight end position. I'm looking at the NFFC's ADP here in the month of July. So since the start of July, there's been 22 drafts. Brock Bowers' lowest draft spot has been 23rd overall. Trey McBride's highest draft spot has been 21st overall. So everyone is going Brock Bowers over Trey McBride. Everyone. Every league I've seen, every league I've been in, the ADP, all that. Would you take McBride or Bowers first? And then secondly, would you just go McBride over Bowers because you get about a round discount there, if you had to look at it from that perspective?
So to answer the first question, I'm taking Bowers over McBride.
Okay.
In every draft if I have that option, I'm doing it in every draft. So I look at Bowers as a tier in his own, and then I look at McBride, Kittle. Like it's like Kelsey in his prime right now. Like that's how I'm viewing him. So that's the question. And no, I won't take the discount. Like if I don't take Bowers, and I'm not drafting Bowers a lot as ADP, if we're being honest, because I do think it's a very inflated and opportunity cost at other positions. For me, it's just not worth it. If I'm going to take a discount on anyone, it won't be with McBride. It would be with George Kittle, who you're getting even later than McBride. And he, in my opinion, I have him in the same tier as McBride. And you can make a strong case of I have him ranked ahead of McBride. So, it's tough because McBride obviously produced at a very high level. But the problem is I think he's going at his ceiling price. And we've talked about this before, Ray, where you're taking someone at their ceiling price, and I just don't feel comfortable taking him at his ceiling price.
And follow up on this, I often say, and I think you agree, just to put it out there, you never know who's listening, watching. I don't even remember who I've talked to, so I apologize if we haven't talked about this. I think we have. The elite tight end. So if you're taking Bowers or McBride, if you're doing that early, like you said, it's not really your plan, right? But if you are doing that early, does that mean you're out on elite quarterback or not? Because to me, it's very difficult to say out of my first 4 picks, I got a tight end and a quarterback. Because I feel like wide receiver and running back, I'm just playing catch up the whole game. I kind of feel like if you're going to go elite tight end or elite quarterback, it's got to be one or the other. What do you think?
Yes, I agree with you, right? I agree with you, but then it depends on what the definition of someone's like elite, because there are quarterbacks that I don't necessarily consider elite, but I consider very strong QB1s.
Right.
Going around 7, 8, like that you could, and it's not necessarily early round. So, but yes, I agree with you. Like I think if you're looking at it from a rounds perspective, I don't think it's smart to invest a top 5 pick on a tight end and a top 5 pick on a quarterback. I think at that point you are hurting, your depth at either running back or wide receiver. You're going to be hurting at one of those positions, I think, especially from a depth standpoint. So yeah, I agree with you 100% where don't invest too early draft capitals on quarterback and tight end. I would go one way or the other.
Kyle's got a question about the tight end spot. He said that he's been punting-ish on the tight end position and just waiting till the Njoku Ingram range, which obviously doing that would allow you to take that elite level quarterback early and then wait on the tight end position. We don't know who the quarterback is going to be for the Browns, which is my only hiccup with Njoku, and I guess health too, because he's been nicked up over the years, but we seem to be extremely productive the last couple of seasons. We know Ingram can catch passes and he's going to have a role in this offense. that's a viable plan. What Kyle's talking about for me, like that's a build I like. Give me Hurts or someone like that in the 4th round at my quarterback spot. Give me one of these guys, in the 7th, 8th round at the tight end spot. I like that build. What do you think about how that's playing out in 2025, Armando?
I have no issues with that, but like at the end of the day, like it's a volatile position, right? You're taking on risk no matter what. I think for the most part, outside of maybe the top 5 guys, you're going to take on some risk. So waiting on at the position, I'm okay with that. I think Ingram, like if he stays healthy, we've seen what he's capable of doing. We've seen the numbers he's capable of producing. You look at this situation he's in, I think it's a very good situation. A young quarterback that showed, a lot of promise last season, a good coach. There aren't that many players, in that receiving game where you look at it and you say, okay, there's going to be a threat for, opportunities. I think, behind Sutton, it's going to be Ingram. So I'm okay with taking that approach. And Joker, the same thing, a matter of the quarterback situation. Yeah, it's not ideal. But when you look at this offense, he's going to have some opportunity, especially in the passing game. So I'm okay with taking this approach, Ray. I'm doing some best ball drafts now on Drafters since we have that promotion. I took advantage of it. Like I told you guys I will last week. I took advantage of it. So I'm in there now, and I've taken kind of both approaches where I do go Kittle early on. Kelsey's going in the 7th round. Like, I don't even think you have to wait that long. Like, Kelsey's going in round 7 in some of these drafts. Like, I took Kelsey 7-11, I think it was, in one of those drafts. So, like, you could wait on the tight end position and still get a quality guy. Are you going to take on risk? Sure. But I think you could say the same thing about taking McBride as early as he's going. You're taking on risk there as well.
Marsal at fantasyguru.com. As you can see there on the screen, we've got the drafters sheet up. Note that it says next 10 days. Those 10 days are almost up. I think it's through the weekend. So get signed up now before the opportunity for you to get the discount is gone. If you've never signed up for the best ball event at drafters.com, go to drafters.com/refer/elite. Drafters.com/refer/elite. Head over there right now. You get a 100% bonus match up to $500 deposit, which is an excellent opportunity for you to get involved. If you've already gotten involved with us because we've worked with drafters in the past, and you say, well, Ray, Armando, what am I going to do here? Well, we got you covered too. Use the promo code Elite Reload. That's Elite Reload. You get a 20% bonus there. So head over to drafters.com, get signed up, use those promo codes before they disappear. And then when you're looking to figure out how to best do this best ball format, head over to fantasyguru.com. Part of our draft guide is a best ball mini guide inside of that by Tyler Beaker. And that includes specific articles exactly for this drafters.com best ball setup. Armando, what do we do with somebody that's in a slow draft? Just this hypothetically, that this is not happening to me, just hypothetically. What do we do with somebody in a slow draft that is on the turn and they make one pick and then they ghost the second pick? What do we do about that? So, you make a pick and then an hour goes by, 2 hours goes by, 3 hours go. What do we do with those people?
Oh, Ray. Ray, I don't have I'm a patient man.
Yeah.
All right. But there's certain things that like my patience is very thin about. That is one of them. Okay. And if you drive slow on the left lane in the highway,
okay,
all right,
yeah,
you're gonna see a different side of Armando, all right, Ray?
Okay.
No, but yeah, no, that come on, like why?
Why the 2 hour delay?
Before I got on, yeah, I made my pick, and then there was a turn, right? This is on Drafters, and then I was right after the turn. So I had it open, and I just made my second pick as we were on just to continue my day, and I don't have to worry about that again. I mean, come on, there should be courtesy, right? There should be some type of draft courtesy.
I agree.
I would take away their next 2 picks for doing that. That's what I would do. I would. You know what? Your next 2 picks are forfeited, and now you have to wait until the last round to make your final 2 picks. That's what I would do, Ray.
The commissioner has spoken. You're screwed. Armando Marsal of Fantasy Guru. What's the 65, 70, 75? What's the highway speed in Florida?
Ray, it's 60, 65, depending on. Sometimes I think 70 is the max, depending on where you are. But when you're going 55 on the left lane, or when you have your hadgers on, it occurred to me last night on the way back home for my son's baseball practice. It was left lane, hadgers on, 48 miles an hour. Ray, yes, my blood pressure must have gone up.
My thing is, that's annoying as crap. But way worse is the level of traffic that we get here in the Bay Area. Like, when it takes me, 35 minutes to go 9 miles. It's like, come on, man. Like, I just can't. So I did that last night. I had an appointment. I drove the long way and went like twice as far just so I could drive. So it's like, I'll drive further, but I don't want to be in traffic. I'll just go the long way and keep moving. And
correct.
There you go. Okay, you agree. Smart guy. Armando Marsal, fantasyguru.com. Let's talk a little bit about some news and notes. You got a baseball pack today, right?
I do. We got
right.
a top Series 2. Yeah, Series 2 2025. It's 12 cards.
All right. We'll open that here in a few minutes. Nice. Let's talk a little bit about some of the news that we've seen recently here. And one of the news points, we were talking about the running backs, and Montgomery and Swift are not necessarily in the same zone as Tony Pollard, but they're close. Like, they're all kind of there together for a lot of people. And we heard Titans coach Brian Callahan said that, we got to manage Tony Pollard's workload. We got to get Tatis Spears a little bit more involved. And we hear stuff like this all the time. And in an ideal world, sure. But when then reality hits, and it's like, it's Tony Pollard. It's Tony Pollard getting the 18 touches, especially in the first half of the season. Do you hear a news story like this and think any differently about Pollard and Spears? Is this a scenario, Pollard and Spears, that you would be handcuffing, even though Spears obviously is a different type of running back, and it's unclear if he'd touch it 20 times a week if Pollard were to be hurt? Talk us through the situation with the Titans backfield, if you could.
Yeah, so this report isn't doing anything for me as far as Pollard is concerned. I like Pollard quite a bit. I think you're going to get 300 plus opportunities. This is including rush attempts and targets. I think that we've seen that now the last 2 seasons. He's been able to manage that kind of workload. I think that's the kind of workload he's going to get. Would I handcuff Tony Pollard with Tajay Spears? 100%. I would. I think that Tajay Spears is a very strong handcuff, and there could be some weeks where he does have some standalone value depending on game script, depending on situation. So I think you are going to see some type of committee, but a committee where it's 70-30, 80-20, 75-25. I don't think you're going to see a 50-50, even 60-40 here. So will Pollard get his 8 to 10 opportunities? Spears get his 8 to 10 opportunities on a weekly basis, perhaps. Do I think Tony Pollard is still going to get upwards of 16, 17 opportunities per game? I think so.
Armando Marsal of fantasyguru.com. Another situation in the backfield. We talked a lot. We just did talking about the Browns and who's going to be their quarterback and all that kind of stuff. But the running backs, like, they got 2 rookies. Everyone's excited about. They have Jerome Ford. They restructured his contract, but we've got a report out of the Athletic that right now, if we had to choose a starter for the team, it'd probably be Jerome Ford. Now, again, starter. What does that mean in football? Not much. I think the real question is not, does Ford have a role? He'll have a role. The question really becomes, when does Judkins in particular take over the lead role? What are your thoughts on the backfield with the Browns?
Quite frankly, it's one I think I want to stay away from. I think it's very cloudy going into the season. Like you mentioned, look, the starter, yes, Jerome Ford can get on the field, be that first player getting the first snap, and then you're going to see Judkins or Sampson getting more opportunities behind them. And that, that's kind of what you got to pay attention to. You mentioned Judkins, when he's going to take over. It could be as early as week 3. It could be as early as week 2. It could be week 1. We really don't know. I do expect him to be, the primary back at some point in this backfield. And, what that means remains to be seen. Is he going to get 20 plus opportunities per game? I don't think so. I think they have enough options here in this backfield to be able to kind of, spread the ball around there in Cleveland. It's just, Ray, it's cloudy going into the season. I do think Ford is going to be that primary guy. I think Judkins will take over that starting role. But again, it's just not a backfield I'm overly excited about. We've seen this Ford experiment before, right? Like we've seen it before. They obviously, there were times that they gave him the featured role and they, sat him down. We've seen it over, and over again in Cleveland. So it's just not a situation I want to be overly invested in. I was going to ask you, because when I saw that, how do you feel? Because I think there's a lot of mixed feelings, here in the industry as far as Judkins is concerned. How do you feel about him going into the season? Because I'm not overly excited about that situation, Ray.
Well, I think it is a good question. I haven't done a draft where I've rostered him yet. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but his ADP seems to be going up, and it's at a level where I'm not really interested. And I think we've got the uncertainty which you spoke of, Armando, with the backfield. There is uncertainty. There's 2 other guys there for sure that are going to be involved. I'm still stuck on that quarterback piece. Like and it might not be a big deal, but Kenny Pickett is not good. Okay, he's not. And this offense is completely different. They're throwing it 23 times with Kenny Pickett. They're throwing it 39 times with Joe Flacco. It's totally different. Now, Joe Flacco's not very good, but again, the offense operates totally differently. And then if they make a shift at some point to Sanders or what's his face,
Sanders or the guy that they took ahead of him.
Why am I drawing a blank? I'm looking.
Yes, I'm drawing a blank as well.
But there's just so much when you talk about the quarterback position and uncertainty there. It's so difficult to know what to expect from a team. Dylan Gabriel.
Yes, there you go.
This is and that impacts. We were talking about Njoku. It impacts Jerry Jeudy, who had this great run down the stretch. If Flacco's not under center, that changes for Jeudy. We're all excited about Cedric Tillman. Maybe Deontay Johnson has a nice connection with one of these guys that we're not anticipating. He's back catching 5 passes a game. So this is an offense, I think, to your point, this is an offense I'm not invested in. I'm just not. And I haven't done 700 best ball drafts or anything, but I just,
Yeah, and the offensive line is also a concern there too. Like that's another issue for me. So yeah, I do think so. I do think Judkins will be the guy who ends up with the majority of the opportunities.
That's fair,
right? Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's going to be by a wide margin here.
Armando Marsal, by the way, hinted at his offensive line article. He and Ted Schuster did that massive offensive line article. It debuted right before July 4th. Go check that out. It's part of the package at fantasyguru.com. Click that Elite Plus tab at the top of the page. All the breakdowns, the additions, the subtractions, the schemes. There's an easy rankings page for everyone that likes grades. Just so there's a little graph. You don't have to read the whole article. You should. There's a graph there that you can reference to and all that kind of stuff. So check that out over at FG. Wide receiver position. Let's talk Houston. It's another situation that's a little up in the air. They have Nico Collins, and they obviously drafted Higgins and Noel, and there's a lot of excitement about those guys. Somewhat this year, certainly in the future. And then we got Christian Kirk. And it's like, Christian Kirk, many times, including by me, I've gone, Christian Kirk, he's out there catching 5 passes every week. And there certainly seems to be a role, certainly early in the year, for Christian Kirk to be involved as that slot guy with Collins on the outside. And, is Kirk somebody, because his cost is rather low. No one's excited about Christian Kirk. No one's jumping his ADP to draft him. Will you be drafting Christian Kirk this year?
I will definitely have some exposure to Kirk. He's someone that I've been pretty bullish on throughout his career. I've drafted him a lot. It always hasn't panned out. But I look at the role that he could step into here, and it's one that it appeals to me, right? We saw Stephon Diggs here in this role. In 8 games, he had a 23% target share, averaged 7.9 targets per game out of the slot there, was producing really good numbers before his injuries. You're taking on injury risk when it comes to Kirk. We know that, and that's the risk that comes with him. Do I think that he can carve out a role here? Yeah, I do. I think, obviously it's Nico Collins. They drafted Higgins, who I like quite a bit. But the reports are suggesting, the security blanket, there's going to be some underneath opportunities for Christian Kirk. So I do like it. We saw Houston last year. It was, Diggs, Collins, Tadell. They were able to, all of them were able to produce. And I think we're going to see the same thing here. I think this Houston offense takes a step forward in 2025 after kind of a disappointing 2024. And I think Kirk, so long as he can stay healthy, could be productive in PPR formats. Do I think he's going to have a career year? No. Do I think he's going to be a top 24 wide receiver? Maybe not, but I do think that in a PPR format, he could be a wide receiver 3 flex, so long as he stays healthy.
PPR format. Oh, boy. The final guy to talk about here is Wan'Dale Robinson, who would look like my 13-year-old son. He's not a big dude. I think his average depth of target is actually past the line of scrimmage, but I'm not sure that's accurate. It might be behind the line of scrimmage. All he does is he's basically a running back catching passes. That's basically what he is. Everything's the line of scrimmage. We'll see what the offense looks like this year. There's likely to be quarterback changes with the Giants, right? Russell Wilson's going to be the starter, and then we might see Winston. We'll certainly see Dart at some point. We have to figure. We're getting a report out of the Athletic that there's no indications of any change to Wan'Dale Robinson's usage in the spring. I don't look at Russell Wilson and think he wants to dump the ball off to Wan'Dale Robinson 9 times a week, but hey, we'll see what happens here. What are we doing with Wan'Dale Robinson? I know you're going to tell me only in a PPR setup. Yeah, okay, we all know that part, I think, Armando. But is he somebody you're even looking at rostering? Because to me, he's kind of like a tight end. It's 8 to 11 points. Who cares? And I'm just not interested in that kind of player.
Yeah, so I'm gonna shamefully say I drafted him in one of my drafters best ball, But I did it as a wide receiver. I think it was wide receiver 6
Okay.
or something like that, because I did take on some volatility early on with injury players coming back from injuries. But like you said, look, he's not a sexy player. Like you talked about the average depth of target. So I'm going to read you off some numbers here. So his average yards per target in 2022 was 6.2. That went down to 5.3 in 2023. And then we got a whopping 4.7.
It wasn't 0.
It was not, but it was 4.7, Ray.
Okay. 4.7.
Yeah.
I can complete those passes at an 80% rate. Wow.
I might be able to do it left-handed. I'm right. but Ray, no, look, he's not a sexy player. Like, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get 8.6, 8.9, or 10.7. That's been his average PPR points per game. If you're looking for 8 to 10 fantasy points per game on a weekly basis, sure. Does he move the needle for me as far as someone who can, win you a league or win you a tournament? No, I basically got him so I can secure myself a couple of fantasy points per game if some players take long to return from injury, or some players re-aggravate injuries. So no, for me, he's not appealing whatsoever outside of PPR formats, and it's really dependent on your receiver group. You heard what I said. Like, I took volatility. If you want to kind of reduce some of that volatility with a 8 to 10 fantasy points per game player, sure. But you also have to, you said something like last year he had 141 targets. Like, is he going to get 141 targets this season? The year before he had 77. All right. So, and just for perspective, in PPR formats, he finished wide receiver 36 last year. Before that was wide receiver 54, then wide receiver 110. But outside of PPR formats, he was outside of the top 50 in as a wide receiver in fantasy scoring. So, like, only PPR, not even half PPR. And half PPR was a 55th in PPR points per, or half PPR points per game. So that was a long-winded way of answering your question. But no, not excited about Wan'Dale Robinson whatsoever. Someone who I just look at as a, you don't want to take a 0. You know you're going to get 8 to 10 fantasy points from him in a PPR setting.
Armando Marsal of FantasyGuru.com. That's the football talk. Let's do some baseball talk. Armando normally has an older pack of cards that we open up here on the show, and we laugh, and we go back and say, look, this guy's mustache. We remember this guy when we were kids. It's different this year, or this week, excuse me. We're going 2025, Armando?
Yeah, right here. 2025, the top, Series 2. And then I have this is the box right here. So we got to show here the box.
What's do you have the best card out of the box thus far?
Yeah, so it says, look for retail exclusive hollow base card parallels, exclusive to value box holiday. So there's in some of these they'll have some random holiday base cards.
Okay.
And then you also have the first pitch, the OPS best, summer superstars, stars of the MLB, and heavy lumber. Those are the rare ones, the heavy lumber ones.
Okay.
So if we get a heavy lumber,
then we're in.
We're looking at we're in, Ray.
You're retiring?
No.
Okay.
No, I love what I do. Can't retire.
Okay. All
right. All right, so that's the pack right there. Open it up right here. Oh yeah.
You feel it? Are you feeling a good pack? Is it happening?
It felt hot when I opened it.
Okay.
A little heat coming out of there.
All right.
Oh wait, what is this?
Oh, it is. It happened?
No, it's Is this? I don't know. We got Gary Sanchez, and I gotta look this up, Ray. I don't know what this is. Doesn't look like
Sanchez,
lumber.
Though. Too bad. He just got hurt and went on the injury list again.
Yeah, I saw that.
Insert. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So nice, pretty cool card.
Yeah.
All right, we got Brian Ramos right here.
Brian Ramos. Oh, that's not good. Let's get the next card.
No, so we're here. How about Clark Schmidt?
Clark Schmidt. 2 weeks ago, yes. Yesterday they announced Tommy John surgery and his season is over. So that's how it goes, right?
Yeah, he was having a good season too, huh?
Yeah, he was. Absolutely.
And we got a future stars here. We got Ben Brown.
Ben Brown. Yeah, he's been up this year with the Cubs. They recently demoted him after a little bit of strike. He had a really bad final effort before they sent him down. Good stuff. Needs developmental time. Possible that the Cubs trade him because they're looking for help now on the mound. And he's obviously someone a team could conceivably build around in the future.
Okay, well there you go. This guy I think is going to be returning soon. I have him on my in the injured reserve right now.
Okay.
Sean Manaea.
Yeah, he's close. We might see him next week. So, the Mets gave him a big contract, and he would be a huge addition if he could pitch as he did last season. Yeah, big move there if he gets back healthy.
I have him there. He's waiting to unleash him on my opponents, Ray.
There you go. Let him go. Fire him out there.
We got future stars here. Sal Frelick.
He's been one of my favorite guys, and he hits the ball about 4 miles an hour. Like, he hits the ball with a wet noodle, but he's hitting 290 right now. He's stolen 15 bases, and this is the player we're seeing this year is kind of the player I thought he'd be the last 2 years. So I've been disappointed the last 2 years. He has lived up to those expectations and been very productive in 2025.
Yeah, so I think he's played him a couple of times in DFS.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty solid value play there. All right, we got Jaimir Candelario.
Just released. I think he's still looking for a team. Yeah, the Reds oddly let him go. He's the guy that's getting paid $7 million the rest of the season this year and $15 million next year, and the Reds just sent him away. So whoever signs him for the big league minimum. He continues to get paid that amount of money, but the Reds paid him $20+ million to go away, which is kind of odd.
That is strange.
Yeah, they wanted to go with the young players, but I'm surprised they couldn't find a trading partner, something for him.
That is true.
Something.
Oh, I know this guy. Yuri Perez.
Oh, he's from your hometown almost, or your home state.
Yeah.
He's looked terrific since coming back from elbow surgery. He's really good. If he can stay healthy, he's a top 10 pitcher next year.
Yeah. He has good stuff. He has good stuff.
Yeah, he's super. He's kind of awkward. He's gangly, right? He's tall and skinny, but the stuff is tremendous.
Yeah. Marcus Semien, he's getting hot lately.
He's getting hot. Yeah. Look at those uniforms, those old school, the weird uniforms, City Connect or something. He's had a disappointing season overall, but he has been better. He was actually really good for a month, and then like the last 2 weeks he started to slow down again. But last night he had a good game. He's been much better, and he's a veteran. He'll continue to play every day. He'll be okay. He's just not the MVP candidate level player he was a couple years ago.
Yep. We got a rookie card here.
Okay.
Sean Burke.
Oh, that's for Ted Schuster and Jeff Mans. Yeah, you get a little White Sox love in there. I don't know if anyone's going to the games to see Sean Burke pitch. I don't think they're selling too many tickets there, Armando. But, he's a youngster that they would love to have be part of their rotation. More of a back-end guy, but they have some big bangers coming. So they'd be happy if he was their 4th or 5th starter for the next 6-7 years.
There you go. Cards turned the other way. So I'll let you see it first. I don't know. Okay.
It's an insert of Vlad.
There you go. Summer Superstars. All right.
Vlad. Is that numbered or is that just an insert in the?
No, it's just an insert.
Okay, I see.
No.
I was hoping that was like 1 of 10 or something.
No, I wish.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
That's a cool card.
That's a cartoonish card. Yeah.
My son will get a kick out of that one.
Absolutely.
And then we got stars of MLB here. Jackson Chourio.
Oh, that's Jackson Chourio is terrific.
He's been really good.
And he's 21.
Really?
He's already like a star, and he's 21 years old. He was a star last year, and he couldn't even drink. He's excellent. That card's not worth anything, I assume. But
no.
If you had a Jackson Chourio rookie, you're looking pretty good right now. He's going to be a star for a long time.
I think we have one of those lying around. But my son has a whole thing, like all the different stars of the MLB. He has pretty much, not all of them, but he has a lot of them. So
collecting those, okay.
Yeah, so that. And then we finish off with a rookie card here.
Okay, not a checklist.
Tomoyuki Sugano. Did I say that right?
That's pretty close. Yeah. It's funny. He's a rookie, but he's like 34.
No way.
One of those guys. He's one of those guys that came over from Japan.
Okay.
He has greatly exceeded expectations. He is quickly turning into a pumpkin though, because he doesn't strike anybody out, like nobody, and you just can't consistently get guys out the big league level not striking guys out. But he's been a lifesaver for a team that needed it. Obviously, they have a lot of problems and their season's gone in the toilet, but he's actually been really good. Not a very good fantasy option, but really good this season. And yeah, that's one of those things. Oh, he's eligible for the rookie year. He's 34. Is he 34? I want to say he's 34. Let's
hold up. I'll tell you right now. I'll do math. I'll do math.
Okay.
See how quick my
math is hard.
Oh no, wait, that's
I was wrong.
Oh, 89. Hold up. Oh, this is 40. No. It's 4. Yeah, you're right. 34.
35 actually. Yeah.
Oh no, 30. He's gonna be 36 this year.
Yep, you got it.
In
about what, 3 months? Yeah, he's old. He's older than 34. He's 35. Will be 36 soon. So almost as old as you, Armando. You're a little older.
I'm older. I'm older.
Yeah, you're a little older.
I'm an old man.
Oh, I'm the old man. You're the younger old man. Armando Marsal of FantasyGuru.com joined us every Tuesday, so he'll be back with us next Tuesday.
Of course.
Yeah, so he gets a short duration here between visits. You can find his Minor Marsal podcast at FantasyGuru.com. Click that Elite Plus tab at the top of the page to find his podcast. You can also find this show catalog there. He's got his offensive line breakdown piece up at FantasyGuru.com. He just sent out this morning the assignments for the podcast series coming up for the draft guide. We'll have 20 podcasts starting to drop here pretty soon at the site. What else are you working on, Armando?
Yeah, so we got that. We got the 20 podcasts. It's not really 20 days. It's 20 weekdays. Where so we're gonna spread out the next 20 weekdays, business days there. But for those podcasts, I'm working on the target shares, collecting all the data for the target shares. Kind of we talked about that in the past. Where for those who are new, I do it every year. It's a spreadsheet, which is shows where the quarterbacks are throwing. Whether it's the running back, tight end, the wide receiver, the percentage of their pass attempts that go to each position to give you some perspective as to where the quarterbacks are throwing and kind of where they're going. So I do that every year. So I've been collecting the data for that. Continue to collect the data. I do this by hand, so it takes a little longer. I go through the game logs and I go through every game and make sure that we got everything. It includes the throwaways. All of that stuff is in there as well. So that comes out later in the month. So keep an eye out for that. Obviously, the Mind of Marsal podcast, you can find that, like Ray has said, over at FantasyGuru.com. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of podcasts. I think you and I are going to be doing a couple of them together, Ray. So I'm looking forward to those. And it's going to be fun, guys. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that. Armando's also on the live stream frequently on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So lots of ways to read our stuff, to talk with us. You can interact with us. You can hit us up in Discord over at FantasyGuru.com, all that kind of good stuff. So Armando, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate it. Thanks for the information, the share. Thanks for all the hard work at the site and all that kind of good stuff. And we'll talk to you just in a few days. How about that? We'll talk to you next Tuesday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you so much.
He's Armando Marsal. I'm Rain Flowers. Enjoy your weekend, folks. We'll be back here on Monday at 12 o'clock Eastern for Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com.